Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of my Minecraft map making series. This episode we can start work with Gold Rush 1.5, which is what I've already been doing, and this is on the same world as the one before, except I made a copy of it, and the template that we built in the previous episode is about 500 blocks in that direction, and so that's why we did all of that, because now when I want to work on a map I can simply copy in the template and then get to work, just import the world that I need, and all of that stuff's already built and taken care of. So this episode is going to be different because I'm going to be working on some things as I go through them rather than doing a lot of explaining about what I've already built. So there'll be some challenges where I might run into some problems that I'm not aware of, and as well as that I am still ill. I've mentioned it on Twitter, in a couple of other videos as well I think, and I am still ill. I don't know what is up with me, and it seems to get worse when I start talking, so expect this episode to be a little bit choppy. It's quite likely that I'll have to make some cuts every now and then because I need to cough or something like that. So I have started off by rebuilding the area on this side. You can see where you spawn and the shops are and all that sort of stuff, and the reason I've been doing this is to make it easier for people who want to rip out the arena and rebuild their own one around it. So in the middle we have the gold spawner, the XP spawners are on either side, and then we have the two diamond teleporters. These are the key things that need to stay in those positions, and then on the other side we have the deposit box for the gold, the diamond teleporters, the respawn point and the shops, and so I've rearranged those over on this side to make it friendlier for people who want to rip that out, and also I've rebuilt some of the systems as well. So the diamond teleporting is going to be a lot easier now. You just come over here and stand on this block and you'll get teleported across if you've unlocked that for your team. And the way we're going to do that is the same way as with the shops, which I'll explain in a little more detail in a moment, is because I've learnt since building this that we can detect for players at a specific location. So we'll have something somewhere that just detects, and when a player's here it's going to teleport them over there, which is really simple. So it just makes it easier for people ripping it out, and it also looks a lot smarter as well I think, which is cool. And so I've rebuilt the deposit box down the bottom here as well. It didn't really need rebuilding, there wasn't too much wrong with it, however I just felt like doing that and making it slightly more secure in my opinion, so I'll give you an explanation of how that works in a moment. So another thing that I need to be doing as well is interrogating these things right here into this, I don't know what we call this over here, but this sort of back end area where the shops and all that sort of stuff is. We want to interrogate that, because one thing I noticed in the previous game is that when someone on the blue team would die, you'd see them zip across over here because that's where their spawn point is set inside this box, and then this box will teleport them into a tube to equip them and then send them back into the game. And so when they got teleported back across, you'd see them zip across the screen as well, because the way that teleporting works is the player actually moves across that entire distance at a very fast speed, and they don't actually just disappear and then reappear over there, which is very interesting because you might notice it when playing on a server. You occasionally see a player like zip really fast across the screen. So I thought it'd be a good idea to actually interrogate this stuff into this back end right here. So what we'll do on both sides is we'll take the respawn box and put it directly behind this, and so when players die they'll zip across to the back here, and then it'll teleport them into one of these tubes, which will probably be just two on either side. And then when they get teleported back up here to the spawn point, you're not probably going to see that at any point. So the problem before was if you're on the blue team, when you get teleported from over there you fly all the way across the map to get to your respawn point. So now we'll make that a much shorter distance, and it will also be relative to what side you're on as well, which is really cool. So I'm going to be doing that in a bit. The other thing that I'm going to be doing hopefully in this episode is rebuilding the shop system. Now this is going to be really interesting for two reasons. First of all, I haven't formulated the whole idea yet, but my rough idea is that you're going to stand here, and now with my knowledge of the whole check for at a location, we're going to have a load of command blocks in the spawn chunks, so you're not even going to be able to see them, and they will be testing for players that are standing in these locations. So if a player stands here, it can give them a message saying you don't have enough XP, or it can, if you do have enough XP, it can say, okay, you're going to buy this item in a few seconds, and then a few seconds later it'll take away your XP and give you the item, which is going to be really cool. So that is an interesting system that I have to build. And also we're going to be using Seftling's filters, so I don't have to write down a load of coordinates. What I can do with these is put down a sign that has like hashtag strength, I think this is how it works, and then in a command block where I would normally put a coordinate, I just type hashtag strength, and then when I run the filter it's going to remove all of these signs and take the coordinates of where they're located and input them into the command blocks for us, which is just going to save me so much time and effort. So hopefully I'll be able to show you a bit of that, maybe show you me running it in MC Edit or something like that, I don't know. Yeah. So before we get to the shops, let me show you the gold deposit box over here. I've rebuilt this, and if you've seen my store items as data video, you might recognize a lot of this redstone, but this is a simple filter system right here. The items will go through the hoppers, and if there's room, or if the item is even the same type as the one below, it will go down into one of these stacks, and then that will set off the redstone so that item can pass through and make its way into this dropper over here. Then what happens at this point is this comparator reads that dropper, or the inventory of the dropper even, through this block right here, and it sets off this clock, and this clock is actually quite smart because it will only ever fire off the amount of items you put into this. So if I put in 5, you'll see this thing is going to fire off 5 times and no more than that, and then we have some command blocks next to it, so they're going to get activated when this gets unpowered. But at the same time we also have some redstone on the other side, and that is activated via a command block, so list in game. And by the way, I was speaking to Wooby who showed me all of this, and he pointed out that it is actually possible for a player to break this whole system, and the reason why is because if in-game was underscore in-game was to log in, they would have other data values applied to them, and those data values would be lost when we use the reset on the player's scores. So it resets all of their scores, which is really unfortunate, and it makes me think that maybe I should perhaps rename these and make them something really obscure, or perhaps I could, let's just remove that. Once the map is, finally finished, I can just go around and replace all of the underscore in-game ones with something like, 10 random letters, which is going to be very unlikely that someone will log in with a name like that. So as I was saying, this just adds an AND gate here that you can see, so it's powering these command blocks, and when that is turned off and the game is in session, it means each of the items in the system will be counted as score. So I've started work on the shop system. This took me quite some time to do. I always forget the syntax and all that sort of stuff, and it takes me forever to look up how levels work and then how to deduct them even from players. But this is relatively simple to understand. We check for the player's location, which is right here, to see what level of XP they have. So you can see I don't have enough XP there. This is disconnected at the moment because I've been testing this one. I built this first and then realised it had some flaws, and so I built it with this mechanic right here. So basically we're actually building something that I'd already built. I just didn't think about it like that. So when we're standing here, if we have enough XP or we don't, the two different blocks will detect that. So the bottom one will detect if we have enough. You can see there the level minimum is 15. And then this one just detects for level 14, so that means level 14 or below it will test for. So we get the two outputs there, and that simply passes on a message, and that is blank for some reason, which is very strange. The same thing is over here, tells you not enough XP. Now I'm thinking of changing this because I just want to target the player that we're delivering the message to, whereas the say command will tell every player on the map that Xisuma has not got enough XP because it will detect that I am standing there. So this message that we see is sent out to everyone. So I need to change that. I think it's /tell. We could actually just do that now and find out. So like that. And what happens when I stand here? Whispers to you, not enough XP. So I think that's the way we're probably going to use that. So after we found out that we do have 15 levels of XP, it says purchasing sword, step back to cancel. So it gives you an option to go, oh wait a minute, I don't actually want that, and step back, and then the delay travels through here, goes up to the top, and then it deducts the amount of XP, and then it gives you the sword, and then it tells you that you've purchased the sword. Now it was at this point here that I started analysing this. There's a 1 tick delay. Could you technically take a step back and then someone who has less XP steps in front of you and they get the sword, but it doesn't take away the XP? And then that made me realise this is the same problem we've encountered before. All you need to do is get someone to stand on there to activate this, and then the redstone is going to travel all the way to the end where it gives the player the sword. So a player can stand on that and then walk away. So what we need is the cooldown thing like I showed you in the previous video on cube control. So it's pretty straightforward. This command right here, I've already shown you these already. So on this side it is the one that detects you have level 15, so when it powers that block it says purchasing sword, step back to cancel, and yeah, it's pretty straightforward. If I then step away at any point and another player steps into this zone who doesn't have that amount of XP, then this is going to completely power off and we are going to get no output at all. Okay, so now comes the interesting part. We're going to be testing out Bling's filter on this. So we have a sign here that says hashtag filter test. I'm not sure if the hashtag is necessary, but I saw someone else use it, so I guess that's something else I could find out later on. But I've used this on a whole bunch of these different command blocks. Well, I say a whole bunch, all of them. This one over here as well, I've also just added a little teleport command here so that I could see how this works. You see, these are the teleport coordinates which you would normally write something like this, 64 or whatever, which is different syntax to these ones. So it'd be interesting to see how it translates. So the ones that are in the brackets are written like this. So I'm wondering, what one is it specified for, or does it work with both, etc. And this way we'll be able to find out. So I'm going to jump into MCEdit and do that, and hopefully I'll be able to record it. And another point that I need to make is the target for this right here, this coordinate, is this block, not the block or the space above it there. It's the actual block. And the reason why I've done that is because when you stand on here, it'll still detect you. But as soon as you go over the edge of the block, it no longer detects you. Whereas if you were to target this block here, it would detect you when you're standing anywhere in this block. And so in our shop, the spaces are one apart like that, so they would overlap. So by targeting it one block lower, it's yeah, it's got the right area. I walked onto the pressure plate. That's what that was. Okay, apparently DxStory can record MCEdit, which is pretty awesome. And I was just wondering, I could probably make a tutorial on MCEdit. However, I don't really know what people want to know about it because I've been using it for so long. A lot of it is second nature, although I tend to just do copy and paste most of the time with this, or use the fill tool. Anyway, the one that we're looking for is command block signs right there. And I haven't run this before, so I click filter, and now all of that's been filtered. If I do save like that, then yeah, we have to jump into the world and see if it worked. So the MCEdit footage there cut short and the audio kept on going. I think when I tried to save the map, something went funny with DxStory and it just missed out a bit of the video there, but it's good to know that I can record MCEdit. So anyway, my filter test was a failure because I made a mistake. I put a hashtag down on the sign that we had here, and you actually don't put a hashtag on the name. That's just something you do with the command blocks. Now, I haven't watched Seth's video. I'm going to go do that in a moment because I think I made a mistake here. I've just picked up things from watching other people, and they put the name of the coordinates which is on the sign with a hashtag in front of it in here. However, you can see we've got the correct syntax for in between the brackets, whereas if I go down to this one here, we have the incorrect syntax, and I've got a feeling that the hashtag is to verify what sort of syntax you need for your coordinates. However, I'll find out what's going on with that, but it doesn't stop us from doing what we're doing at the moment because all of the shop things just involve command blocks that use this syntax. So I can go ahead and get on with the next thing, which is to make one of these for every single shop that we have in the map. So we have, I think, 30 in total, 15 on either side, and I've just got to give them all names and then put those names into each of these command blocks and configure them for each type of item, which shouldn't take me too long at all. And another thing to point out, when you run the filter, there was a sign here and it removes it after it's done as well, which is useful because what I'll probably do is leave those signs in a map, and then when I want to play test it or I release the final version, I'll run the filter then, and then it will set everything to the correct coordinates. So yeah, I've got loads of those shops to build with what we have right here, and then what I'm going to be doing is grouping them all together, probably vertically, so there'll be a big stack of redstone, and then what we'll do is put that into the spawn chunks of the map like as a schematic and import it, and yeah, it will always be loaded in the spawn chunks, and so then the shop will always be present. So here it is. This took me a couple of hours to put together. It is really tedious doing this stuff with map making, going through all of these command blocks one by one, making sure they're all correct. And after I'd done it, I realised there was a couple of shortcuts I could have taken using filters. However, I'll get used to it over time and figure them out. So anyway, these all have their own OS one tag for each shop, like OS2, etc. And they've all been configured so each one is its own individual shop with the correct item, spell effect or enchantment, etc. All that stuff has been done, and the next thing to do is test it. So I'm going to import it into the Gold Rush world. It's going to sit in the spawn chunks where it will always be loaded, and then I'm going to go into the shop area and test this thing out. And so if everything works and it's fine and I don't need to come back and change any of this, then what I can do is copy it, put another one directly behind it, change all of the orange wall to blue to represent what shop it's for, and then all I need to do is run a filter that will change this bit right here, so hashtag OS, and what I can do is just change that to hashtag BS for blue shop, and then all of the shops will be mirrored except for the different coordinates, so it will work with the blue team as well. And then there's a couple of exceptions, like over here you can see there is an extra command block here. That's because we apply 2 potion effects at once with this particular shop item, which is the stun effect, and it applies it on the blue team there. So I have to go through and change a couple of those so it says orange team, although that's something again that I could just do with the filter, which is really cool. And so yeah, there's nothing really to do now except to test it, and once I've done my testing, and then we're going to turn this into the blue shop by copying it, what I think I will do is open up MCEdit and record me using the filters, just so you can get an idea of how to do that. So I've done my testing and everything went well. There were 1 or 2 shops that didn't work, but it turns out I just made a mistake with 1 or 2 of the command blocks, which have now been fixed. So all of these shops work right here, and what we can do next is turn them into the blue shops, which is really simple. I thought I'd just do it in MCEdit and show you how it's all done. But before we do that, I just want to point out that we have these blocks on the side with torches, and that is so we can attach a clock at the bottom, and then the signal from that will travel all the way up here and activate all of these different lines of redstone. So that means our testfor commands are going to be constantly updated. Okay, so let's make the blue shops. This is really simple. First of all, you have to select all of the orange shops, which I've already done right there, and then we just click on copy on the side, and then click on this on the right hand side. That's basically the clipboard there. In fact, if I click copy again, you'll see we have 2 of these now. So we only need the one because we're going to import this behind it. So place it down on the map. It can go anywhere really, but I'm going to be neat and place it like 1 block behind the orange shops. So over on the left hand side here we have the nudge tool. You just hold down, click on that, and then you press the keys to move it around like this, which is relatively simple. We need to move it over 1, up 1, and then across like that, and now it is 1 block behind it. So then you can click import, and it will import it in, and it will also select the area as well, which is really convenient because that's the area we need selected to do the rest of this. So if I click on the fill and replace tool, we need to select orange wall, which just happens to already be there, and then if I click on replace, you can see we need to select blue wall, which is there again because I've already done this a couple of times, and then click on replace, and now all of our orange wall is blue wall, which is really cool, so we can tell the 2 shops apart. Now we need to use a filter. There's only one that we need to use, and if we click on it here you can see it's got some text in there already. Let's get rid of those, and what we need to do is find hashtag OS, so that's all of the orange shops, and replace them with hashtag BS. Now they're all going to have a number after them, like 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. They're not going to get replaced. We're just changing the O to a B basically, and we put these things either side of them so that they're unique, because if we just typed in O to B, then other things where it said a 0, the letter O would become a B as well. So anyway, we're going to filter that, and then there's a couple of other things that we need to do as well. So one of them is underscore orange diamonds. Did I type that right? Yes, I did. We need to find that and change it to blue diamonds, and press the wrong key there. It's really annoying where that cursor goes because it's the wrong side of the letter that you're typing. Okay, blue diamonds, so we change that, and then the last one is to change orange team, so it's going to be a little tricky actually. Yep, there we go, orange team to blue team, and then we're all done. One of the things I could have done there is just changed orange to blue actually, and then that would have done both of them. But there you go, and so now we press Ctrl S and we've saved it, and there are our blue shops. So now I'm going to test both of these. So the next thing to do to go alongside all of this was to make the diamond teleporters, and I'm really pleased with what I've come up with here. We're going to need 2 of these, which are going to go on the very top, and we need 2 because there are 2 diamond teleporters, but this is actually really simple to set up. I obviously need to do a test, and if the test works then this didn't take me very much time to do, which I'm very pleased with. So our input comes along here, and you can see this is locked by the torch here, and that's because this is the one that lets you, where's the message, there it is, okay, that says purchasing sword, that's not correct. I must have typed it in and then pressed cancel by mistake or something, but this is supposed to say that you are about to teleport, and then the one down here will teleport you when it's done. But of course, if you haven't unlocked the teleporter, then we need to accommodate for that as well. So that's why this bit is locked here at the moment. And then what this will do is it will check to see if you have unlocked it at the shop, and when that happens it's going to send a signal into this block here, and that is going to unlock this one on this side. But at the same time we would then need to lock the other testfor check, which is going to say to the player that you need to unlock the teleporter before you can use it. And so the signal is going to pass through here, so that's going to receive a pulse, and then when you've unlocked it, it is going to power this block and lock this side. So it unlocks one side and then it locks the other, which is pretty simple. And then for each of the things I'm using Sefbling's little filter thing again, so the coordinates are OD, which is orange diamonds 1, we've got orange diamonds 2 as well to make, and then it will teleport them to orange diamonds 3, which nope, sorry, that's correct, orange diamonds 3 is at this end over here, and you can see I've used the $sign because we're going to be working with the different syntax. So it's been a while since I last recorded. I've been doing a lot of work, and I tell you what, we're getting really close to finishing this thing off now. So what I've been working on are the respawn tubes and the respawn room at the back here, and I tell you what, I absolutely love these signs, you know, they save so much time. So that's B respawn blue, B for blue, and so these tubes over here, they were really easy to do as well, because all I had to do is set up each of the individual command blocks and they will clear the inventory of a player who's in there and then give them the correct potion effects and items. And each one of these has a sign inside of it, and then, oh, that's OT3. Ah, okay, I found something else that I need to change. That needs to be BT1 and then BT2, and then these will work properly because you see it's going to target at BT1. But what's cool with this is I can copy one of these, put it into the next one, and run the filter to change them all to BT2. So that really does save a lot of time. But for all of this to work, we need to add something else to our spawn chunk redstone, which is all the stuff we've been building this episode. Previously below this box I had a bunch of hoppers that went round in a circle and then teleported all of the players to each of these one by one, and they were timed so that by the time the hoppers have gone all the way around full circle and activated one of the teleporters again, that tube over here would be free. So if we jump into my test world, we can go and have a look at this. This is it right here. All I need to do is copy and paste this and put them further up here so it's part of this big chunk, and it's really simple. There's just an item that goes around here. There you go, you saw it go past, and so it activates one of these after the other, and then these just look for players who are in the respawn room, and then it's going to teleport them into one of the tubes. So once again I've made more and more progress, and at this point I just want to summarise everything that I've been doing. I've imported the set score objectives to determine the amount of score needed to win the game, so that's over here at this bit, and I've also finished doing all of the game beginning stuff. So when both teams have set themselves to ready, it sets off this AND gate, and then I've just put in all the extra conditions that need to be set. I mean, there's a ton of stuff here that probably isn't very useful to you as a map maker if you're watching that for this reason. These are just all the different objective things for the scoreboard and stuff like that that make that work. So all of that gets configured as the game starts and the players get teleported in. And then if we go into my test world, I've been rebuilding the end game system. So this was the old one. These are a whole bunch of big AND gates that detect the end of the game and then pass on a signal down here, and I had a look at it and I thought we can make it a lot more compact and smarter, like we have this stuff over here. So the signal comes in on this side, and then we have an AND gate here. You can see we've got the two torches, and so it's not until both of those go out that this torch will turn on. And so when a win condition is met, like the blue team or a member of the blue team has a gold score of 100, and also that is the score that has been set, then both of these will go off. So when a game starts, there has to be at least one score set, so one of these gates you'll see will be off, and then when the winning condition is met, the other one will meet it, and then it will it will say this message here as well, blue wins, and I might add something like blue wins with 100 points to it or something like that. But then it will turn on the redstone torch there for a moment. Sorry, it is a little bit late. And then the signal travels around here, and I'm not going to go through all of these command blocks, but basically these are going to reset the map so it's playable again, and there's a ton of stuff there that needs resetting. So what I want to do now is just copy this and copy it for orange. Now I need to change some of the stuff with a filter as well, which is what I did when doing this. I just copied and pasted, and all I needed to change was 25 to another number like 50, except this time I just need to look for the word blue and replace it with orange, and then the exact same thing will work for the orange team. And so I don't need to replace any of that stuff at the back here as well. That's something I've got to be careful, because that will reset things for both teams. So it's been a long few days of map making and making this video, and the last thing that I'm going to do, I'm not going to show you though, is I'm going to actually change this. I'm just going to take the top half of this and put it alongside it so it's a bit more of a cube shape, and then I'm going to add those things on top of this and then do something really cool, which I'll probably show you in the next video. It's not going to be anything too fancy, but yeah, you'll see that when it's done. And so between this video and the next one, I'm going to be doing a lot of play testing and trying to get this map up to scratch. And then once it's done and it's playable, I can start working on some of the other things like the Hall of Credits and stuff like that. Or I might start doing cube control too. I'm not sure at the moment. But that is it for this video. And yeah, I hope you've enjoyed it. So as always, thank you for watching, and I will catch you next time.